Greetings of the International Museum Day and a hearty welcome from the sacred land of Puducherry, the land of Bedapuri and the land of Maharishi Aurobindo's, the integral yoga and the divine life established. It is indeed a matter of great pleasure to welcome you all for today's one of the auspicious celebrations, that is the International Museum Day. And I am very pleased to announce that we have organized this event in a joint collaboration with Aurobindo Society and the Southern Regional Office, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, on a special topic that is museums, sustainability and well-being, the integrated approach. Objectives of this today's symposium is to address important issues related to well-being and sustainability, especially the development of the communities. And I am very much thankful to all the lauded speakers today for accepting our invitation and sparing their valuable time for this festive celebration, I can say. And before we start today's proceedings, I would like to formally welcome to all the speakers of today's program. So we have eminent speakers with us, Dr. R.A. Ramavatar Sarmaji, and Dr. Jain Sinhaji, MS Gayatri Pandaji, Dr. Anil Aniketji, and MS Kirtiji. So first let me welcome Professor R.A. Sarmaji. Just 1 minute, I'll share one.
Namaskar. Thank you very much.
Namaskar. Namaskar. Thank you, sir. So it is indeed a matter of great pleasure to welcome Professor Ramavatar Sarmaji. Dr. Sarma holds a master's degree from the School of Studies in Ancient Indian History, Culture and Archaeology from Jivaji University, Gwalior, and a postgraduate diploma in Museology from the Center of Advanced Studies in Indology and Museology, and a postgraduate diploma in Archaeology from the Institute of Archaeology, Archaeological Survey of India. And Dr. Sarma joined the Jivaji University, Gwalior as lecturer and holds several years as a professor. He has to credit 4 books and more than hundreds of research papers on various aspects of art, architecture, archaeology, and tourism. Dr. Sarma conducted several excavations and explorations and brought into light cultural sequence of Gwalior and Chambal division of the archaeological world. So this is really a matter of great pleasure to have sir for this today's celebration. And Dr. Sarma will be speaking today, that is sustainability and well-being. And it is really a matter of great pleasure to welcome Professor J.N. Sinhaji. He is the member of Research Council, National Commission for the History of Sciences, Indian National Science Academy, New Delhi, and formerly the Associate Professor of History, University of Delhi from the New Delhi. With a PhD in history, Dr. Jain Sinha has taught at the University of Delhi, and currently he is the member of Research Council in the National Commission for the History of Sciences, Indian National Science Academy in New Delhi. He has been engaged in research in social history of science and technology in the 20th century India with reference to imperialism and nationalism, culture, world wars, development, international cooperation and environment. He has been recipient of several major international scholarships, including that of the British Council London, the Maison des Sciences from Paris, Rockefeller University, New York, and Sastry Indo-Canadian Institute. So we are very happy to welcome you, sir, for this today's initiative. And Professor Jain Sinha is going to speak on museums and social progress, prospects and challenges in India. I'm also glad to welcome MS Gayatri Pandaji, the State Nodal Officer for Puducherry from the Department, the Ministry of Tourism from the Government of India. Gayatri Panda holds a master's degree from Indian Institute of Travel and Tourism Management from Bhubaneswar, where she completed her MBA in Tourism and Travel Management. Sorry. She has handled subjects such as inbound tourism, cruise tourism, rural tourism, sustainable tourism, information technology in tourism also. She has also organized various programs, events involving international delegates. She participated in the Dubai Expo in 2020 and submitted an analytical paper on how Indian tourism market is performing in Dubai Expo. In her current charges as State Nodal Officer, she is responsible for developing and promoting the tourism. I am also pleased to welcome Dr. Anil Aniketji, one of the dynamic fellow and young fellow of today's celebration. And I'm very much thankful to him to introduce me, Professor Ramavatar Sarmaji and Dr. Jain Sinhaji and MS Kirtiji for this today's celebration. So Dr. Anil Aniket is the Assistant Professor, Department of History and Indian Culture, University of Rajasthan. And he was also the Deputy Director of Center for Museology and Conservation, University of Rajasthan, Jaipur. He specializes in the modern Indian history and holds a PhD degree, especially is involved in teaching UG and PG classes in the University of Rajasthan since 2003. I welcome Mr. Dr. Anil Aniketji for this today's celebration. Today he is going to speak on the ideals of learning through integrated approach and the case study of the establishment of new museums, including the Gandhi Museum at Rajasthan University. I am also pleased to invite MS Kirtiji, the Assistant Professor from Department of Museology, Indira Gandhi National Tribal University, Amarkantak from Madhya Pradesh. She holds a master's degree in museology and conservation and currently engaged in teaching, research, and dissemination activities in the museum and other sectors. And she's going to speak on development of museums and public awareness. I also welcome all the learning speakers, learning audience, those who have joined for this today's celebration. And I welcome you all for this. Before we proceed to to listen from the expert speakers, I just want to speak few lines on this occasion. Like each year from 1977, ICOM has organized International Museum Day, which represents a unique moment for the international museum community. So the objective of this International Museum Day is to raise awareness about the fact that museums are an important means of cultural exchange, enrichment of cultures, and development of mutual understanding, cooperation, and peace among peoples. Organized on 18th May each year around the world, the event and activities planned to celebrate the International Museum Day. As per the statistical reports, the last year, 158 countries all over the world and 37,000 museums celebrated this International Museum Day through different kind of activities. And this year's theme in 2023, that is museums, sustainability, and well-being. When we talk about the activities, the essence of the museums, we find that museums play an important role and contribute for the well-being and to the sustainable development goals as trusted institutions and important threads in our sacred, shared social fabric. It promotes the intercultural understanding and brings the ancient heritage to the modern people, how culture can be part of a sustainable and social development process. And there are many ways where museums can contribute to achieve this goal, especially the sustainable development goals, from supporting climate actions and fostering inclusivity, or to tracking social isolation and improving mental health of the people. So when we talk about Aurobindo societies, as all of you know that most of all of you have for the first time, I think, joined with the Aurobindo Society. Aurobindo Society is the research institution in social sciences affiliated by the Department of Industrial and Scientific Researches under the Ministry of Science and Technology. The society holds institution of national importance and the United Nations Economic and Social Council status, that is the issue SOC. The society has more than 300 branches all over India and many other countries, and working on different dimensions, including culture, education, health, public awareness, rural development, and many things. So as far as the cultural sector is concerned, our main priority is to explore the rich and dynamic cultural aspects of Indian culture and to work to create sustainable things. And I'm very much thankful our esteemed Sri Pradeep Narang Bhai, Chairman of Aurobindo Society, has joined with us. I welcome you, Sri Pradeep Narang Bhai, for your kind presence for this initiative here. So the society holds specific aspects to conduct research, dissemination, and publication activities, especially community outreach programs in many sectors. When we talk about the museums, I would like to point two things. It was in the mother's writing. The mother has given us a special emphasis how the museums can promote the education. I would like to quote, "There is only one justification, that is to make it a means of education. Then it becomes a museum. If you make a museum, it is a historical sampling of all that has been done. It serves to give you a historical knowledge of things, but a museum is not something beautiful in itself, far from it." Also in 1951, it was in March 10, regarding the playground talk, the mother has also mentioned about how the museums can sustain the well-beings. I would like to quote one of her quotes. "In the physical form, there is the spirit of the form, and that spirit of the form persists for a time, even when outwardly the person is said to be dead. And as long as the spirit of the form persists, the body is not destroyed. In ancient Egypt, they had that knowledge. They knew that if they prepared the body in a certain way, the spirit of the form would not go away and the body would not be dissolved. In certain cases, they succeeded wonderfully. And if you go and violate the sleep of those beings who for thousands of years have remained like that, I can understand that they are not too pleased, especially when their sleep is violated out of an unhealthy curiosity legitimated by scientific ideas." In this particular concept, the mother has said that on the Guimet Museum in Paris, there are two mummies. Nothing remains in one, but in other, the spirit of the form has remained very conscious to such a point that you can have a contract of consciousness with it. Even if Maharishi Aurobindo in his letters on poetry and art, he speaks about the intellectual museum. So there are many things, like when we talk about the museum educations, especially the sustainability and well-being, the museum has to play a great role in promoting these ideas, and especially on sustainability and the implementation of Agenda in 2030, that is transforming our world, the project. The main motto is all museums have a role to play in shaping and creating sustainable futures. And they can do this through educational programs, exhibitions, community outreach, and research. And since the year 2020, the International Museum Day supports a set of goals from the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations in 2023. And those three goals is the global health and well-being, that is ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages, in particular concerning mental health and social isolation. The goal 13 is the climate action, that is take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts, adopting low carbon practices in the global north. And the goal 15, life on land. This is very important, that they protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, amplifying the voices of indigenous leaders and raising awareness on the loss of biodiversity. So on this important day, from the Aurobindo Society, along with the Southern Regional Center Ministry of Tourism, we planned for this symposium. And we are very happy that today we have eminent speakers to speak on this occasion. And I welcome you all for this celebration. And first, I welcome Professor Dr. R.A. Sarmaji, to kindly present his views, that is on the sustainability museums and well-being. Professor Ramavatar Sarmaji, please.
So, thank you all that. First of all, on the occasion of Museum Day, I am thankful to Professor Tripathi, who invited me and given an opportunity to speak on the museum and their sustainability and well-being. First, we should know how many museums are there and what are the types of museum in India. So basically, there are two types or three types of museum. One is government museum, second is private museum, and third one personal museum. So museums can be divided on the basis of two formula. One is administrative and second is subjective. So on the basis of administrative, there are 6 or 7 categories of the museums in India. First is National Museum. Second is museums of national importance. Then State Museum. Then University Museum, Municipal Corporation Museum, and then Trust Museum or Private Museum or Personal Museum, you can say. And on the basis of subject, there are multi-purpose museum. There are archaeological museum, then anthropological museum, engineering museum, medical museum, children museum, rail museum. So many. ब्रॉन्ज म्यूजियम, आपका जो अहमदाबाद में है उसको लेकर के जो कैलिको, जो टेक्सटाइल म्यूजियम, फॉरेस्ट म्यूजियम, ट्राइबल म्यूजियम. So that we can say there are number of museums in India, more than 400 museums. But there are certain challenges, because first is location. Location is big issue for the museums. How people can go to museum, that is a big problem. Suppose you, I will give a few examples also, because everybody wanted easy way. But if you want to go to Museum of Man at Bhopal, it is far away from and in the remote area, and no vehicle regularly are going. So this facilities are available. So when visitors will not go, how museum can sustain? This is one of the things. Second is sufficient budget is not provided. Either it is a museum of national importance or national museum or even private museum are more difficult or problems for the budget, and nobody is going to help them. They are earning through ticket, or somewhere tickets are not sell out. So budget is a great problem for the sustainability and well-being. So that is there. And third is staff. The staff is also very less. This is also great challenge for sustainability of a museum. The staff is not sufficient. If I give you example of Madhya Pradesh, there is no single curator is available in any museum of Madhya Pradesh, while there are more than 100 posts are there. So how museum can sustain? This is also, we should think on this issue also. Third, if there are certain people of the subject or the persons or curators or deputy curators, even directors, there is no habit of working, or there is no working culture. Okay, when you are working in a museum, working culture are very essential. Otherwise, it cannot sustain, it cannot be well. So this must be taken into consideration. Third thing, the continuous, regularly preservation and conservation is very essential for sustainability and well-being. Also, regular program, education system So all these things required for sustainability and well-being of the museum. So with these words, I will stop my tongue, and I'm thankful to all members, particularly J.N. Sanasab, Ms. Gayatri Pandya, Dr. Anil, Ankit, Ms. Kirti, and all viewers. So really, once again, I'm giving you that I'm really given opportunity to introduce in this webinar. And so I'm thankful to particularly Professor Kishor Kumar Tripathy ji and his institutions and his team. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Ramavatar Sarmaji. Especially when we talk about the sustainability and well-being, you have started from the challenges. Like when we talk about some of the scientific investigations, like the findings, it starts from a problem. Like as an eminent academician, having a wide spread of your academic expertise, you have raised one of the important issues, how when we talk about sustainability, what are the major challenges? This is really one of the important challenges which you face in especially the museum sector in the Indian perspective. And I hope the remaining speakers will address these issues because you have raised the problem. And this is one of the research forums. I am very much thankful to you, and we will have a proper discussion on this. And now we have Professor Jagdish N. Shinhaji, an eminent scholar, especially working in the international sciences. I was talking to him yesterday, especially when this short interaction. I was highly impressed by his ideas, and he has a wide range of experiences visiting many countries. So I request Professor Sinha sir, especially museums and social progress, especially the challenges and perspectives. So, sir, please kindly enlighten us with your speech, sir.
Thank you. I'm really overjoyed because during my research from the angle of science and technology, I read about Aurobindo ji also.
Oh, this is great.
It is Professor Tripathy who has connected me with Puducherry. So I'm grateful for that to you and your organization and everybody there. First of all, let me make it clear that I am not a specialist in museology, but my claim is to speak on this topic is on account of my active involvement in heritage and interest in culture. That way, I have traveled almost the whole globe in some way, you can say, and I've seen some of the foremost museums of the world. So that gives me some knowledge and perspective, what is museum and all that. At home in India, I have worked actively for identifying and discovering some of the heritages lost in the forest, especially along the Himalayan foothills. I have traveled there in the dense forest under armed protection. And I have gone there and I found wonderful things, and they are badly neglected. I don't know why they don't go in a museum. I wonder. Likewise, in South Bihar, which is now Jharkhand, I traveled in the forest around Giridih and other places. And I think I was one of the earliest to locate Itkori, which is now a developed place. I have heard, I have not been there, but about 30 or 35 years back, I went there. I found that people are digging. I came to know that all these statues are smuggled from here. I wrote to the government, to state government, no response. I wrote to the Survey of India and all Archaeological Survey of India, again no response. At that time, Indira Gandhi was living, and she read one of my letters in public newspaper, and she approached the authorities there, and it was sealed. The site was sealed. But anyway, that's to cut the story short. I located it and I brought in news. And after that, after sealing, again it was open. But I am fortunate to hear now that it is in a better shape. So what I want to indicate that in India there are different type of problems in developing museums. I will come to that in much more detail. I will speak with my understanding about museum, that they are the careers of our past accomplishment. I will entirely agree with Mother, with her views, that how a museum means it is a storehouse, what we have done in the past. That thing, its possession, the artifacts, the art pieces, etc., I consider them expression of the ultimate language, because the language of words and sentences, it has many limitations. There are words for expressing a lot of things, but still there are certain things which can't be expressed with present vocabulary. That is problem. But that is expressed in arts, in a sculpture, in a statues and all that. Just an example from Konark, see the statue of the setting sun and see the smile, a smile which comes after tiredness. It is very difficult to express in language. So I consider heritage the ultimate language of any expression from the human beings. With this understanding, I will dwell upon a few issues. My basic perspective is science and technology. And here I consider science also including culture. That includes culture also, it is not different. But somehow we feel like that science is different and culture is different. This is on account of the rise of Western material science. And we have always in mind that science means that, and not the spiritual sciences, which comes with meditation and intuitive knowledge and understanding. We are not considering that. So I have in my research off and on, I have focused on this aspect also, and I have tried to bring to the notice of scholars concerned that it is time also that we should consider as sciences whatever is accomplished in the past intellectually by the people from the Eastern Hemisphere, that is Eastern culture. So all these things should take the shape in the collection of museums, which is not prominent as yet. This aspect, what I am saying, the spiritual knowledge and technology. Hello.
Yes, yes, please, sir. Please.
But I can't see you.
Yeah, I'm here only, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I want that these museums should try to bring something from our intellectual heritage also. Yeah, of course, it is very difficult, but they can be represented with some type of models. I don't know how the experts will do that job, but they can be presented. Likewise, I'm also in favor of creating some open museums. In India, I came across a museum close to New York, and that museum is created by Rockefeller's family. And it is very huge, open museum, open museums and a living museum. It means it is having animals of 17th and 16th centuries, direct breed from that stock only, no mixture, something like that. variety of plants, some plants from India also, and they are just living there, they are flourishing, and one can see it. I will let you know why it is essential later. So this is another thing I'm talking about, open museum and living museums also. Why this type of change must be there? There are several other issues also. I will talk a little about the advancement in sciences and technology in the last few centuries, especially about a century in the West, beginning especially with the start of quantum physics. The findings of the quantum physics, they have this has changed our perspective of reality and existence. And for us, what is useful to take from that is that now we are thinking also in terms of holism, holistic approach towards reality, and that brings into the loop not only the living things, but everything in this nature has to be included. And for that, we can get inspiration from the Jain and Buddhist philosophy of dualism and a soul and several other things. I won't go into details, but I will talk about that. And this is time somehow, I don't know, again, I don't know how the museums will bring that knowledge so that people, lay persons also can understand that what they are saying. Take, for example, the Jain philosophy felt that the cosmos is a constant progress. It is changing everywhere, every time, every moment. And it doesn't have beginning, nor that we can speculate about its end. This is a plain, and I'm talking plainly about this. Very peculiarly, this is the finding of the modern scientist also. The cosmos is always in progress. It is in flux. It is changing. We don't know about its beginning. We don't know about its future. So this is entirely from the perspective of intellectual exercise of mankind, which of course will help in several ways for our social progress. Likewise, there are advances in the field of genetics and life sciences. Especially, I will talk about the work of Varela Garcia. He is a Chilean, he was a Chilean biologist, a doctor, and a great intellectual. He studied genes, and he found out that this existence is living under varieties of autonomy, autonomy of the universe, autonomy of the planet, autonomy of mind, autonomy of his cells also. They have also some time of autonomy. So all these things are leading us to a sense of holism also, but also what in India, say for example, Gandhi said about the village unit and their working. This is a very odd example, something as if it is misplaced. I don't consider it is misplaced. What I'm talking, that Gandhi was talking about the autonomy at the lowest level. And through that, he wanted to connect to nature, because his autonomy was not a free hand to destroy nature. He always warned that no, we have to be under nature, we have to follow nature and all those things, and we have to consume only what is very essential. I have written a few articles about him. For example, he was in favor of preserving the wasteland. which is barren. And he always believed that nature must have had in mind some meaning for this also. So if a place is barren, it is wild, let it be there. He didn't kill snakes or insects like that. He caught them, he left in the forest. Again, he came to some very peculiar things, which is just a strange thing for us. For example, he used to say that agriculture is a type of violence. We should try to unburden certain grains which we have been exploiting. Rice and wheat, for centuries we have exploiting it. We sow according to our needs and we cut it off according to our needs. Let it be free. And for that he experimented with several wild plants, and he found that about 6 or 7, he got it tested by top scientists that they can be consumed. So his was the effort to balance the different elements and organs of nature. So what I'm trying to suggest, that this type of thing should be also part of our museums through models and whatever that is. All these things I have said just to indicate that presently museum is something, you can say, a house of collection of things, just bones and fossils and some musical instrument, and that hardly connects with our current life. Another problem is the challenge between the Western model and Eastern model. The Western material civilization and our Eastern spiritual civilization, the representation of these civilizations in terms of artifacts, they are standing in contradiction in the museum. For example, if we go in a museum as a lay visitor, we see that something, take for example, some modern science products are displayed there very nicely and okay. And people like it also because they are in touch with car or aeroplane or something like that. But the artifacts from a tribal society is junked in some corner, maybe also because there are not much people to see it. This about the tribal artifacts, why I am saying that it is a problem of perception. Whatever we are having is not necessarily the symbol of an advancement of civilization. It is material progress, but not exactly a progress of our intellectual rhythm in terms of the entire nature. It is not like that. The tribals, whatever that looks something primitive, but they have devised it, keeping their needs within nature, and they have devised according to their needs. There was a great scholar, J.R. Diamond. He has studied on some tribals for almost whole of his life. And he has found that the tribals are equally intelligent as the so-called civilized people are. So don't neglect them, whatever. For example, he gives an example that a modern man cannot trap an animal. If he asks to trap an animal for hunting and for food, he can't trap it. But ask a tribal and he will trap it immediately within an hour or so. So he has developed that skill according to his requirements. You have developed your things according to your requirements, but it doesn't mean that you are doing justice to the whole possession of this nature, which is meant for everybody, not for Western imperialism only. That thing is there. So after telling this story, I have brought imperialism and spiritualism and nationalism face to face. Until not long ago, we have been under the shadow of colonial thinking and superiority of the Western culture. But it was, of course, it was the counteract was started by Kumar Swamy. When he tried to explain Indian art that it has some great meaning and it is not for nothing. Likewise, Gandhi also discussed a little about that in Swaraj. But strangely, it has been seriously thought about only after the writings of Edward Said in 1960s. He was a professor of English literature, a critic. And what is useful from his findings for us is that he said that whatever about the Eastern culture has been described by the Westerners, that is false, that's not true. And it is time that it should be reinterpreted. And it has very silently given us a type of boost to see at our creations, civilizational creations, whether they are material objects or abstract things, our art and music and philosophy. But he has promoted that thing. The tradition of Kumar Swamy has been carried forward by another Sri Lankan who thinks as if in India and the whole this eastern zone is his motherland, and that's very nice also. But he's from Sri Lanka, that is Sushant Gunatilake. He has written about modern science, and all the time he's countering how modern science has developed on Indian knowledge system. And he's giving example from Ayurveda and a variety of other things. So this is a change in our, I'm talking about change in our perspective about objects and reality around us. And this object and reality should be translated by museums in artifacts, by collection of artifacts and models there that we have to develop. I learned a lot of things about from the museums in Europe. In some of, I talked about the New York Museum, that is completely natural. Natural, you can see things and you can always relate with it. Likewise, I saw a museum in Hungary. It was not entirely natural in surrounding, but to a great extent, they have created a natural scene, especially about varieties of deers. I found them, a variety of them, hundreds of them, stuffed and in almost natural ambience, put under the glass houses, something like that. They have preserved also more than 400 skeletons. When people died at a ceremony, maybe at the Christian Christmas occasion, in a cave due to some snowstorm, and they have preserved it. Sorry. They have preserved it. I want to take lesson from that, that everything that is existing around us, that has some meaning. And it is not that a simple thing that is an ordinary tool or something like that, or a folk song or a folk story. It is meaningless. It is not meaningless. Everything has meaning. And in this field, one of the towering, you might be, my friends here might be knowing about Strauss. He has worked a lot and he has tried to explain how the human responses and feelings are to a great extent universal, and wherever they express themselves, there is something common in that. We can try to trace it. So that thing, whether it is love, it is hate, it is mischief, all these things have some uniform type of expression. So at the surface, it will be at subtle level, this should be made part of our museum through models or whatever it is, it can be. Now, I am coming to the problem to the which was hinted by our first speaker, the problems in India. First of all, in general, there is not much awareness about museums. That is problem. And behind that, there is a serious lack of political will. I'm talking about different estates because the estates have power to have their museums and develop it. Even there, what they are doing, that is a window shopping, something like they are creating great structure of crores of rupees and stained glasses and gardens and all that. But what about the content of the museum and the trained hand to explain things to the public visitors? That is serious problem. As my friend, senior friend, he told that there is no curator and something like that. This is true. This is largely true. I don't know what is the reason for that. More than that, even if the staff is there, the staff is not associated emotionally with the possession. While we as a scholar sometimes feel associated with particular item. And we always remember that. I visited that museum and how wonderful it was. But I'm not sure how many of the staff think that this is my collection also, and I should try to preserve it. And this will, of course, come not for nothing. The government will have to do it. One of the ways can be that in every development project, the government should assign a particular percentage of expenditure in the national budget. It should be there. And I'm talking almost as a model, picking up from Canada. In Canada, I heard, I'm forgetting the percentage, but that was very impressive percentage that whatever development work is being done, the government allots a particular portion for the preservation and conservation of heritage, whether it is in the form of museum or just open conservation and whatever it is. The second, which has recently been a positive development, that it should be introduced as a part of the curriculum, which has been introduced in my Delhi University. I don't know about other universities, but I'll be happy if it is introduced there also. A paper or some rubrics are introduced in curriculum. That should be there. And the museum should not be only just a storehouse. No, it should be center of learning and center of education. That is most important. And I am jumping to a conclusion, though I may be wrong, but one should think about calling this museum as knowledge houses. Something like that, some word also. So this is my conclusion, that the awareness should be increased and the government should allot some specific amount of in the budget, and someone should be made accountable for that also. And some type of survey of heritage should be introduced in almost whole of the country. Survey of the heritage. I can quote Sushant Gunatilke. He is, I read it in his book written in 1990. The book is with me here, Towards Global Science, and he's talking about Tamil Nadu area. And he is saying that one of the Madras IIT professor, Ashok Jhunjhunwala, I think he is living, someone told me, he went to the remote areas and he found some mathematical calculations from the local grociers or something like that who use it in their daily trading and commerce business. And he fed it in his computer, and that improved the function of his computer computing. So that knowledge can be useful. This should be identified, collected, and preserved. Sushant Guntilke also says that overwhelming majority of manuscripts are not on record anywhere. They are lying in private homes and they will vanish after some time. People don't know how to preserve, but they have some fascination, so they won't give it. But the government should try to persuade, or maybe this work can be initiated with some PhD program and separate programs in the university. Take, for example, a person should register for PhD for collecting and analyzing this type of manuscripts in a particular area, both subject-wise and place-wise. Certain district or maybe a taluka or something like that. And that can be a way out. I just wildly think about that. But that's very much important. And what you are thinking that is old, it's not old. In Europe, now there is a recent trend that research is being initiated for those scientists who failed in their projects. And from there, they try to pick up lessons. Why did they fail? And what else can be done to rectify the problem? So we shouldn't consider all these type of manuscripts and the older knowledge, arithmetic and all that. I remember from my childhood that the grocer in the village, they will calculate the transaction with their customers, and they were as efficient in calculation as a computer is. But today we can't calculate. For everything we should have a tablet and calculators. So then these things also need to be likewise a lot of stories, folklore, folk traditions. Even in remote area, I visited in Himalayan foothills and found a lot of interesting things. I found there wall paintings in Tharu villages, very beautiful as anywhere you can say. Likewise, I came across a factory of statues. It is strange to think that how it is existing there, and people are picking up and they are smuggling it out of the country. At Sahodra, in Champaran again, I found scattered hundreds of sculptures lying here and there, and they must be being siphoned off. So these museums should take note of all these things. There are several other things I can talk about, but for some other occasion. And thank you very much. If someone has some curiosity, I will definitely share my further views. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Jain Sinhaji. And I'd like to say that I'm not a professor, sir. Actually, and when I was listening to you, I was just recalling my university days.
Yeah.
And I know that those days will not back again. And the joy of learning, and especially when we listen to this eminent gurus like you, so the joy is something different, sir. Especially when in the beginning I mentioned about the sustainable development strategies of the in the goal 15, that was the life on land, like protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystem, amplifying the voices of the indigenous leaders, and raising awareness on the loss of biodiversity. And in your presentation, very meticulously and scientifically, you address those issues, especially talking about the preservation of the indigenous cultures and your wide experience by giving the many museums from the New York and other states, Hungary, the Sri Lankan communities, especially the indigenous community in perspectives, the Indian perspective. And especially the way you addressed the scientific issues. And I hope the Ministry of Culture under this National Council for Science of Museums, they're trying a little to establish, to address this scientific knowledge to the public in terms of this educational things. And especially the message which you have given that museum should not be a storehouse of objects. It should foster creativity and provide a message to the future generations. This is one of the important initiatives, and we will have a detailed discussion on this topic, sir. And thank you so much for your detailed lecture. And we will have one of your special sessions to listen, especially on this sciences. And I hope many lectures will be organized like Professor Ramavata Sarmaji and yours. And this is really one of the good value additions to this topic. And this is really one of the unique solutions which you have given to Professor Sarma sir's questions. Now we come to the implementation part. When we talk about implementation of such things, we find the nodal agency like the Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Culture, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Science and Technology. They promote the great role in implementing such issues. And when we started this initiative, we discussed with one of the great and dynamic officials of Ministry of Tourism, Madam Gayatri Pandaji, and we collaborated with the Ministry of Tourism, because Ministry of Tourism and Culture, they are promoting museums, creating new entities, and promoting the indigenous knowledge system into a wide, large stage. And the ministry's objective is to work from the grassroots level to the ministry has specific policies, funds, manpowers, and visions. So Gayatri Pandaji is basically the state nodal officer for Puducherry, and she is actively engaged in promoting and creating awareness about many important areas, including culture, heritage, museums, and of course, as the G20 agenda of the Ministry of Tourism, like the last meeting happened in Khajuraho, the culture minister have given a special message like protection and restitution of cultural heritage will be the theme of the first G20 culture track meet, especially promoting the culture things and like working on setting of a G20 museum, India's culture secretary told. So I request now Madam Gayatri Pandaji to kindly share his views, especially how the museums can be part of this sustainable and integral process, and what are the outcomes the government is trying to implement throughout the nation. Gayatri Pandaji, please.
I'm Gayatri Panda. As Dr. Kishor Tripathy sir have introduced, I pay my immense gratitude to sir for organizing this insightful symposium on the occasion of International Museum Day. I thank to Dr. R.A. Sarma sir, Dr. Jain Sinha sir, Dr. Anil sir, and Ms. Kirti ma'am for participating and giving their valuable informations to all of us. I thank each and every participants who are attending this meeting. So I would like to say that shall we ask a question to ourselves, like how much we know about our culture, our heritage, our natural heritage, our history, about any of our interesting segment particularly. When we ask ourselves, we say like, okay, we know this much of information from the books, from the travel, or from any events or anything. But when we come to the museum, which is the repository of all the informations, artifacts, and many other valuable things from the past, from each segment, as already Dr. Jain Sinha sir and R.A. Sarma sir have already said about the different types of museums which are available in across the India. So they are having a different set of informations what they can provide, and they are showcasing the natural heritage and our precious cultural facts. So we should make a engagement activity. I would request each and every one who are present over here to make some engagement activities a learning process, because seeing only the artifacts or seeing only the objects will not aware the natural and the historical importance of the object. So when we are doing any engagement activities or exhibitions or any programs, what we are planning is, from the Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Culture, and in association with Aurobindo Society, we are evaluating many programs and projects, how we can sustainably develop museums over here and how we can promote it and to the local people as well as to the tourists and everyone. They should know the importance of the museums in their locality, as well as they can travel to other museums to know the informations in respective segments. So under the ministry schemes and projects like Swadesh Darshan and Prashad, we are analyzing and evaluating the importance of the museums in different states and union territories. From the state departments also, they are trying to maintain and develop it in a holistic approach. In forthcoming days, we are also having, we are taking museum into a next level, that is digital museum. We are introducing digital museum over here in Puducherry with the private projects, also in the collaboration with private projects. So that is how I'll request everyone that we should visit museums. I can see there are many Yuva Tourism Club members. I like to tell them that whenever you are getting time, you need to visit the museums. And we are also from the Ministry of Tourism encouraging all youths from the schools, colleges, and different institutions to we are doing a guided tour to the museums to make them aware of the importance of their local culture and heritage. So we are also introducing few programs such as certified courses for the youths who are interested. In the weekends, they can enroll themselves and we can make some guided programs to the museums in the localities. So I would request any suggestions or any initiative and contributions from everyone, which will suggest ministries to take the necessary steps, and we are here to support you in all the forms. Thank you so much, sir.
So thank you, Gayatri Pandaji, for presenting the mission and objectives of Ministry of Tourism in implementing a sustainable tourism practices throughout the country, including the international exposures. And in your presentation, you have mentioned like engagement activities and evaluating major projects. Especially, you spoke about the digital museum. That is one of the important findings, because nowadays the digital things, the media has changed the face of the world, especially promoting the digital universities and creating a learning space for the to learn about the tradition through a digital mode, and especially the Prasad schemes, the Yuva tourism clubs, and the certified courses for the tourist guides. These are some of the innovative programs, and definitely we will and we are very much happy that we are collaborating with the Ministry of Tourism. And I think this is the third event which we did with the Ministry of Tourism. And we are also planning to have more programs in future, especially on community-based activities. And we hope with a positive support from the Ministry of Tourism and the Department of Tourism, Puducherry, in collaboration with the stakeholders, things can be implemented. And we will have a detailed discussion on this. And thank you so much, Gayatri Pandaji, for your detailed presentation. And now it is time to listen one of the young, dynamic researchers, Mr. Anil Aniketji, who was instrumental in bringing Professor Jain Sinhaji and Ramavata Sarmaji and Kirtiji. And when I was planning for this event, I tried to introduce two of the young and dynamic leaders. I can say the academicians, those who will bring this knowledge from Professor Ramavatar Sarmaji and Dr. Jain Sinhaji, because they are in this field. So Dr. Anil Aniket will speak on the creating the sustainable education development process, like the ideals of learning through integrated approach, and especially creating new museums like the Gandhi Museum they are planning. So Mr. Anil, you may please share your views on this floor.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, please.
First of all, let me acknowledge that I am not an expert, but the beauty of the beauty of amalgamation of two different and somehow connected fields is picturized somewhere. So I'm in my present talk, I am just giving some ideas to basically not proposing and constructing a museum, but how to implement as Mr. Ramavtar Sharma sir and Jain Sinha sir was saying, the overcoming the obstructions faced by these museums. So I am just deliberating on the some issues which are practical, and as well as I consider as Jain Sinha sir also giving the briefs about Gandhi, quoting Gandhi now and then. So I am also trying to deliver my talk about Mahatma Gandhi and museum. I consider both the great institutions so that from whom the young generations can learn. So the aim of every individual is to lead a healthy and prosperous life. And if the personal life is in sync with the nature itself, then the life will be very easy and smooth enough. Thus, one can say that he or she is having a sustainable lifestyle. So we can say that whatever is near to nature, near to local surroundings, and at the same time does not inflict any harm to the environment falls in the category of sustainability. Hence, we can say that whatever is basic and simple in nature can also be categorized as sustainable. It's my take on only. I'm just talking about my perceptions only. If we are talking about sustainability or living in sync with the nature, as Jain Sinha sir rightly said before, living in sync with the nature, then anyone can name these two major institutions as the synonym of sustainability. The foremost is museums, and the other one is undoubtedly Mahatma Gandhi. Every individual or layman or highly educated somehow knowingly or unknowingly seek guidance and directions from these two stellar institutions. I'm not going to deliberate on why we need a museum or what is the use of museums in sustainability, because museums and sustainability are synonyms. The title of my today's talk, proposing a dedicated museum of Mahatma Gandhi and his ideals, learning through integrated approach, is basically on the implementation rather than the theoretical aspect. Is derived. This talk is basically derived from the policy decision of government of Rajasthan to set up a dedicated museum on the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, at some adequate place. And somehow, I'm not into the finer details, but somehow the proposed museum site was far away from the Jaipur, and I'm not having the current details of this, but basically the idea germinated from this policy decision of the government of Rajasthan. My take on Mahatma Gandhi is that the more I read about Mahatma Gandhi, the more I think that I've learned very little, and always try to learn and gather enough information. And for this, I am indebted to Sinha sir, who has gifted me a book on Gandhi and his diet style. It is like a travel. Museums are like a treasure trove. You always willing to dive much deeper in the core of Gandhian philosophy, his personality, fascinates me every time that how the persons of all the age groups were ready to accept Mahatma Gandhi as their father figure. His ever readiness to accept the new things and the ideas and his ever readiness to make corrections and upgradations was the crucial thing, I suppose. Mahatma Gandhi was very dynamic in his approach. He somehow knew that it is very difficult for a layman to grasp lengthy philosophies. So his philosophy was very simple, yet potent and effective, and simply based on truth and non-violence only. And these two basic ideals were not new for the Indians, but Gandhi showed them how to use and implement them in practical life. His concept of practical idealism made him accessible to each and every individual. This simplicity of character and ideas and belief in general well-being of the masses makes me strongly believe in the sustainability of Gandhian ethos and values. Talking about the museums itself, what I feel is somehow the present day museums are losing their basic spirit, or the Ramata Sharma sir was saying, and Sina sir was deliberated on that, or that present day museums are losing their basic spirit, or I shall rephrase it, that the officials are not being able to keep up the pace with the current world. Currently, museums have become monotonous. No one-to-one contact or connection is possible. Here, I am just talking about the general conditions of the Indian museums. One cannot feel the artifacts displayed in there. For example, if a visitor is visiting a museum and there is ice cream is displayed in the showcase, and there is written that it's cold, sweet, and somehow tangy, but it doesn't incites any feelings in the visitor. But if somehow with the help of technology, you can create a magic, and that magic can be created through Internet of Things, virtual reality, or the VR, the young generation having the VR headsets. With these kind of technologies, we can change the scenario altogether. So I am all talking about this in furthermore. One cannot feel the artifacts displayed in there. Museums should be dynamic and aggressive in their approach to attract the younger generation. And to attract the younger generations, museums should and must use the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and virtual reality and the new age tools, as Ms. Panda was rightly saying. What I wish for the proposed Mahatma Gandhi Museum is that from the very entry, museum should actively get involved with the visitor with the help of, for example, Internet of Things. With this, one can be teleported into the era in which Gandhi actually lived, and one can feel the surroundings, what surroundings that at that time may be. Virtual reality and artificial intelligence can be of great help. This would be a Munna Bhai MBBS movie-like situation, where in the movie, the protagonist talks to the Mahatma Gandhi, but actually he was daydreaming. But in the given scenario, the visitor could feel the actual presence of Mahatma Gandhi itself, and we can create, or we can create a virtual reality in this sound and the presence of Mahatma Gandhi itself. And this one-to-one connect would reignite or regenerate the ethos Mahatma Gandhi actually lived and died for. The idea of this talk is not to construct one more museum in the memory of a great personality itself, but to inculcate the teachings of the great personalities in the visitors or the masses, which is the need of the hour today. The base thrust is on the implementation side, so that the museums can connect itself with the visitor. If someone has doubts that how come it's possible, then they should just open their smartphones and the data carriers app, and they should chat or talk with the computer generated technical assistant. One can easily understand that you just say 1 or 2 words and the computer generator assistant easily covers it up and gives you the what you are looking for. Or the other best example is Alexa by Amazon. So when an inquisitive visitor asks his queries, problems, issues, and finds the solutions with the help of new age tools, then only we can say that the purpose of the great institution like the museum is fulfilled and the teachings of the father of the nation are carried on. And this, in my thoughts, is true sustainability. And that's all about my small presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Anil Aniketji, for presenting one of the unique ideas, that is the true sustainability. So when we talk about sustainability has its own messages actually. And you address some of the important things, especially the museums losing their basic spirits, and like in a monotonous way, there are several problems in terms of the display, and there is a great need for the use of the technology, especially when we talk about the virtual museums. And you also mentioned that the dynamics, the adhesives should be for the younger generation needs to be addressed by using the artificial intelligence and the virtual reality. And the way you mentioned about to know about the father of the nation, and you have given a special message, like through such kind of museums, we can know what was his message and how it spread and how it helped to address the communities, especially the community engagement things. Recently, I visited the Prime Minister of India's museum in December, and I was amazed to see. I think you must visit that museum because you are planning to have a museum on Mahatma Gandhi. The Prime Minister's Museum in India, located in the Nehru Center, that is the Nehru Memorial in the New Delhi, near the Tilak Lane. You must visit that museum. I do not know whether you have been there or not, but the way they have used the technology, when we talk about the virtual realities and especially the artificial intelligence, I think this is one of the finest and the first museum in India which speaks about the virtual realities. And when we talk about the Google Art projects and the Museums of India project, especially from the Ministry of Culture, several initiatives have been taken by the Government of India in setting of new museums and creating some virtual realities. And I think in the first step, it is possible through the digital museums and creation of new things also. And it is also, you mentioned about the preservation of the past. Like when we talk about the past, what to preserve? When this National Manuscript Mission was established during the time of the Honorable former Prime Minister, Dr. Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the National Mission manuscripts came up with a very catchy sentence that was save the past for the future. Like every civilization or every entity had a past, we have a present and we have also a future. But the National Mission for Manuscript came up with a motto that is save the past for the future. So through your speeches, you addressed many of the important issues and emphasized on the artificial intelligence, especially the virtual reality, especially the virtual museums. So this is one of the innovative things, and we will be happy to collaborate. If you require any support or any collaborative things, we will definitely do that. And I hope with this, we have listened to the eminent speakers, especially when we started that approximately in the last year, there are 37,000 museums and 158 countries participated in today's celebration. And we do not know how many museums and how many countries are celebrating all over the world, addressing important issues. So for me, it's a festival actually. It's a festive celebration because, and it's festival of our heritage. Like, okay, it's a festival of especially preserving the heritage. And we have listened to the eminent speakers, especially Professor Ramavatar Sarmaji's research problems, and a very modest and responsive statement by Professor Jain Sinha. So for us, it is really a festive celebration, and we have listened to the eminent and learned speakers, Dr. Ramavata Sarmaji, Dr. Jain Sinha, Gayatri Pandaji, and Mr. Anil Anikeji. And Dr. Kirtiji, Kirtiji was supposed to speak on the museums and especially about the awareness programs. So we will listen to her to the recorded speech. And I hope that it is one of the growing sectors, especially for the promotion of heritage. And when we talk about in today's world, where globalization has changed the face of the world, and in terms of the museums, there are many things which needs to be presented in a developed way, especially when we talk about the virtual realities and the artificial intelligence. So we have today we have also a good number of participants, the audience. Like we have Lakshmi Jyotiji, she is a good eminent expert in promoting heritage tourism and promoting many activities, especially. And we have Dr. Kavirji, Dr. J. Prabhakaranji, and Amulyaji. Can we have a little discussion on this topic? And if anyone wants to ask any question or any suggestions, any comments, we can have a little discussion so that we will also discuss how to proceed further. So now this floor is open for a short discussion, please. You can give any suggestions also if any specific ideas are there.
Before leaving this forum,
Yes.
in the end, I would like to suggest something.
Yes, yes, please, sir.
Some of the scholars are saying that there must be digital museum.
Yeah.
So in my way, it is duplication. For example, Gwalior is there. There is a big museum which is called Puducherry Mahal Museum, very rich museum for archaeology. But meanwhile, they are established the digital museum also. In my way, the digital museum should not be there. The digital mobile vehicle should be there. So it can be most of the persons who are living, because we have to understand our demography, how many percentage of people of a country are living in the villages and how many percentage are living in the city. So city people may come and visit museum, but what is the need of digital? If you want to say digital for villages or even tribal area, they not come to see the even museum or digital museum. So what is the need of that? I'm not in favor of digital museum. There should be digital mobile museum. So mobile can be go to villages and people of our country do not know about the culture, heritage and monuments and their history and their sculptures. So they can see, and someone should be their guide who can explain on the basis of digital basis. So then it can be somehow useful for the, because every try to understand democracy of this country and geographical region also, and infrastructure also, the transportation also, and also net is available in every village or in interior or remote area. So then what is the use of these digital museum? I think in my way, it is duplication of present museum.
So what Professor Jain Sinha ji, your opinion on this? Because you have really traveled many countries.
Yeah. There can be a middle way also. For instance, Anil was talking about something implying headphones, etc. So that can be a good idea. That one, if you are moving in a museum and with headphone, you are listening about its history. So that can be very useful. And of course, to introduce it in villages, it's not easy. They say. Another thing I would like to emphasize that please do something to bring to the museum that tangible part of our culture, a complete intangible, including philosophy and scientific findings of the past and all these things. Something should be done to bring that also to the museum in form of models and whatever it is. Maybe that artificial intelligence can be used in that case.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, this is one of the unique solutions you have given, Professor Jain Sinhaji. I just want to add a sorry. I just want to add a little. I just want to add a little possibility about digital museums. When we talk about the digital museums, yeah, it's a duplication of the physical collection. But when we talk about the digital things,
I also want to add something.
Sir, in terms of if you take the example of the Google Art Project, Google Art Project has collaborated with many of the museums around the world. Especially, they have also digitized some of the collections of some specific museums, and especially the way they have used the virtual realities, especially the artificial intelligence, how to look the museums. I just want to share one of my experiences. In 2013, I visited Baku, that was the capital of Azerbaijan. And I love to explore the communities through field survey and extensive things. Sir, I visited one of the site museums, especially that was a rock art site. The name was Gobustan Rock Art Site. That was a World Heritage Site. And near that, they have set up a small museum. And I think that was the first virtual museum I saw. And the way they have displayed the artifacts, like some animals were there, you will feel that the animal is barking and it will touch you, the way they have done like that. So we also made some extensive, whatever time was there, 2 to 3 hours, we saw and we discussed with the people. And that was the first virtual museum I saw. And when we talk about the digital museums, sir, I respect your suggestions, what you have given. But nowadays, the world is moving through the digital forums, and especially when we digitize the collections of the museum, especially accessing the collection for the research, publication, and dissemination purposes. And I respect your suggestions, but I feel a little bit when we talk about the higher studies and research, like I require some collections from any museum from the New York or from Germany or any parts of the African countries, and I cannot go there. But if digitally it is available, I can collect the. Most of the times I visit the virtual museum just to see how the collections are there. But also the challenges which the museums are facing, especially you mentioned about the mobile museums, like the vehicles concept you give. That is also one of the unique ideas. I think the government and the authorities, the policymakers will think on it. And this is one of the unique suggestions.
I also want to add some.
Yes, yes, please.
With humble to Ramavata Sharma sir, I'm just saying that what my suggestion was, it was not an alternative or substitute to the traditional museums. It was in addition. And I'm not against the technology. I'm just saying, as the government is implementing the 5G in the metropolitan cities, where it is possible and feasible right now. So in the first paragraph itself of my presentation, that the government was trying to establish a museum in the far-flung area away from Jaipur, and somehow deliberations were there, and the experts said that what is the use of the museum on Mahatma Gandhi in a far-flung area if a researcher is not able to move there easily? So it would be feasible much in the heart of the city of the Jaipur itself, so that the researchers from all over the Rajasthan and the Jaipur and all of the other places of the nation can sit and collect all the data itself. And the other thing, I was not saying about the headphone. I was talking about the virtual reality headphones, so that the visitor who is visiting the museum actually feel the coldness of the ice cream, actually feels the sweetness of the ice cream, rather than the moving around like untouchable, that no, you can't touch the artifact. It is 4,000-year-old and you cannot touch it. So my motive is that if you feel it, if you can touch it, although in virtual reality mode, that gives you a connect. And that I was saying, it was not a, sir, with your apologies, I am not proposing an alternative. I'm not proposing an alternative. I'm just proposing an addition to it. An addition to the traditional museums. I'm just proposing technically sound and which can connect to the laymen and the students itself. Thank you.
Of course, it has to be there, and it will continue to improve, and it can be a good media. What Kishor said, that for a researcher, it is most handy thing. So if it is digital, and more than that, you can store a huge amount of data in a very small place. So it is handy that way also. So it should be ruled out.
And moreover, when I was giving the example of Alexa and the data carrier apps in the mobiles, we can just give a problem to the virtual reality handset that what in the current scenario, the economic current scenario, what can be the solutions? And it can give you the current solutions according to the Gandhian economic perspective. If you want to raise any question on the religious aspect, it will deliver you the religious aspect questions on the Gandhian philosophy. So that was the motive of my idea to create a virtual reality or the Internet of Things like things, so that this new proposal of Gandhi Museum I was talking about.
Anilji,
Yes, sir.
I'm not negative about digital museum.
No, sir. I am not saying that you are.
My purpose is that because we want to aware the people of this country in large number should go to public. Those cannot come to city because it is, you are saying about remote area far away from Jaipur. It's good, no doubt about it. But in same city, physical museum are there, and you also making digital museum. But around the city, there are many villages, about 65 or 70% public living there. For them, this digital vehicle, mobile vehicle should go there and aware the people, aware the students, aware the school student, college student. This is my suggestion actually.
So I'm complete. Yeah, please, Professor Jain Sinhaji wants to say something.
Yeah, just picking up from the remembrance of Gandhiji. Some time back, I visited his Vitrahova Center in Champaran, and I was saddened to see its status in a very poor condition. More than that, a new type of problem which is occurring everywhere almost, that in that compound, it deserves to be kept in a very simple manner, in pristine beauty, simplicity, but it is crowded with plaques of signboards who inaugurated the project and names of, hello.
Yes, please, sir. Continue, sir. I'm just
What I found there, that it is full of plaques with names of some leader, local leader who inaugurated, who launches it, who was behind that. And I couldn't understand whether it is a museum for Gandhiji or for those leaders. I'm talking about irrespective of party. I'm not indicating any party, but that is a problem. And that he just has stolen the essence of that ambience of Gandhiji. Whoever is listening this lecture should take note of all these things also. And even the memorial Gandhiji's Vitrahova Ashram, it's very important place, but that is in bad shape. Even the caretakers of the record, they were very much saddened, and they had a lot of grievances. I don't know who will take care of that. So, and these type of things are at other places also.
Yeah, this is one of the important challenges also.
Yes.
Yeah. We have received a question, the similar question from Mr. Firdaus. His question is, how can educational institutes play a very active role in proliferation of museums? Educational, basically, I think they're connecting with the talk about the museums and educational institutions.
Yes.
So you want to give any input on this, sir?
I can make a few suggestions.
Yeah, please.
First, it should be somehow made a type of mandatory curriculum
Yes.
that school students have to visit the nearest museum or something like that. Even some important place of historical importance, he or she should visit it. Number one. Number two, at level 10th and 12th students, they should be assigned some homework, field work, to do something, some essay, write an essay on the local museum or a local heritage, something like that. So we can encourage them via heritage, local heritage, into the museum. And what I said earlier, at the PhD level or MP level, the researchers may be given projects, direct projects, both on the museum, if there is one, but more than that, about different aspects of heritage, whether it is tangible or intangible, of a particular village or a block or a subdivision. He or she should present a PhD work, and that should be considered favorably. I've been making this appeal at several of my lectures, and some of the concerned people, they seem to be agreeable, but I don't know how it will be implemented.
Yes, we have also
will be something like survey, but with analysis.
Yes.
Yes, and that will add to its creativity.
We have also received similar suggestions from Safina ji that museums should be open to internship for students.
Yes.
And this will create interest among students who will play a crucial role in creating awareness about and relevance of museums to our national life. This is, I think, one of the, when we talk about the national life. And we have also some suggestions like internship at museum itself for students have to get cultural department permissions. A student will visit museums as a part of the core curricular activity, which Professor Sinha ji addressed that. And especially when we talk about the higher researches, it has its own implications. And yeah, this is good things. I hope when we talk about the policies, especially the Ministry of Culture, the creation of the digital repository of the museums. Like the Ministry of Culture has specific schemes, especially those museums comes under the Ministry of Culture directly, and the state museums to digitize their resources and to make some provision how these collections can reach to the people. You take the example of during the COVID time, when nothing was accessible, the world was stagnant, and we are not able to come out from our houses. Some cartoons came, I saw, like those animals came from the jungle and they saw the people are closed in their houses, and they saw, and some good sentence was there. If people are watching us since many years, but now it is our time to see you. Kids like that.
I also saw that.
That thing. So when we talk about the technological advancements, it has its merits and demerits also. But nowadays, everything, when we talk about the awareness and reaching to the masses, I think technology can play a prominent role. Gayatri ji, you want to say something? Because what are the ministries' initiatives?
May I add 2 points more?
Sir, please.
May I add?
Please.
I am in support of creating local museums. It should be encouraged by local people and participation of women in that.
Yeah.
whether it is village woman or a town woman, many of them have some free time, those who are not working in any job. And I think they will be enjoying it.
Yeah, this is one of the unique suggestions, sir. We
Yes.
will, whatever projects and program activities we are doing, we will definitely include this in our curriculum.
Yes.
And I request Gayatri ji if he wants to say something on this discussion, please.
Yes, sir. I would like to address what Sinha sir have told now, that involvement of local community and youths, and we can see the many people have also mentioned in the chat box about their interest of getting internship and engagement in the museums. So already Ministry of Tourism have taken an initiative called Yuva Tourism Club, which has been already, we have given the circular to the state government officials to pass on and initiate that activity. Like, we are taking the students to the museums and to the heritage sites and to the local destinations to impart them the knowledge and the importance of the local heritage and the history of the place, and how to maintain it, how to propagate it in a better way. So in the perspective of the development of the museum, and the information need to be communicated to the youths, and as you have suggested us how we can engage women also. So in that aspect, we are taking wholesome in an integrated approach of the destination and in and around the people and the locals who can contribute with their time efforts in developing the museum, as well as they can also get information and what they are passionate about, they can do those activities also, so that the engagement activities will be more of creative as well as interactive, and it will also create an awareness to our forthcoming generations or school students, who will be more aware of the history and cultural and heritage aspects of our India and their local places.
For information of Gayatri
Thank
ji,
you, Gayatri ji, for presenting the initiatives undertaken by the government. And so we have Safina ji, that Safina ji has submitted many of the unique ideas, like in the Joy Hind College, Mumbai, we have assignments based on galleries of the state museums, that is CS, MBAs and TUI, students. And also she's saying that making a museum compulsory part of the curriculum is an excellent idea, but if museums can come up to schools, communities like Museum on Wheels will be more involving, fun-filled and feasible. Chandra ji, you want to say something or only this, your message will be enough? You want to say something apart from this? Okay. So,
hello.
Please, ma'am.
Yeah. Anyway, this was a very nice symposium, and I really got exposed to experts, whom I really did not know of, but I had heard, especially J.N. Sinha sir. And listening to these stalwarts was really my privilege. And we have a paper in our college. We are an autonomous college, Jahin College at Mumbai. And this paper is basically on museology. And we teach students basically. It's a basic general paper on introduction to museology in India. And we do have assignments, which I've already mentioned, where they do assignments on galleries of museums. Sometimes we also ask them to do different types of museums as such. But there are many problems when it comes, you could say, to having an access to a museum. Yeah. Especially it is, as I told you, students are very keen to do internships. They want to work, they want to have a hands-on experience, but the hands-on experience is not possible. I think even Aniket sir has addressed, to that problem also, that, when you actually fail, the experience is different than you only see. So if something, could be done, by the ministry And this can only come, when it comes from the top, and of course we do, you could say, try our best, to get speakers who are, you could say, curators or who are working there in the museum. We have the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastu Sangrahalaya, which was the Prince of Wales Museum of Mumbai. But then it is really not possible. Even in my daughter's school, getting the entire school, to the museum in batches also becomes difficult. So if the museum comes, to the school, so as I suggested, museum on wheels, that would be more interesting. And it could be some segment, of the history book, where it could be something to deal with your miniature painting, or to deal with, you could say, with certain artifacts, or even in brief, how things have actually evolved and they have been preserved and why is it important. I think it makes a lot of difference. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so
Sapinaji,
much.
you are doing wonderful job. Your college, we just congratulate for that. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Keep on doing it, yes. And about difficulty in accessing the museums, I think some way out can be found by channelizing the limited number of entry in a week or so to a museum, something like that.
Okay.
Yes, it can be a way. And there should be some accountability, that because that problem will be there in the museum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also want to add something, sir, here.
Yeah.
One should not limit him or her to the government opportunities itself only. One should look at private museums also. Here in Jaipur, we have so many private institutions or the private museums itself. One such museum is a tribal jewelry museum. So one of our centers, a student is doing PhD in the center itself and working as a part-time student there, so that she can be able to learn the intrinsic things or the specific things about the jewelry or whatever it is. But the work experience she was getting there, or some of the first or second semester students, we are encouraging them to go to the private institutions and talk to the administrators, because in government sector it is very hard to apply and to get the work done. But in private sector, you can approach to the administrator, and with a simple application, your work can be done. So for this scenario, private museums, as Ramavatar Sharma sir aptly mentioned in the beginning of the section. So in this assignment or the internship segment, private sector or the private museums can be of big use here for the students and the scholars itself.
Yeah, it is one of the unique suggestions, Mr. Anil Aniket ji, when we talk about the heritage of the museums, as like the government, the private sectors has also a great role to play. Like if you will take the example of the Mathura Museum, they are creating a new museum, the ICOM institution. I was just amazed to see the way they have planned. So yeah, it's good. So the CSR things also, especially I was amazed to listen about setting up the local museums, like small museums. Like you may say that every village should have a small museum of their collections like that. And Safina ji has also given a solution to Professor Ramavatar Sarmaji's ideas, like museums on the wheels. So this is one of the unique solutions to the problem. And I am very much delighted to see one of my old colleagues, Mr. Paul from National Gallery of Modern Arts from the Ministry of Culture of Government of India. Mr. Paul, I'm delighted to see you after, I think, after coming to Puducherry, this is the first interaction I see. And I also
it's really wonderful to see you also, sir.
Yeah, I also see a very smiling face on Mr. Paul. And I would like to introduce Mr. Paul. He's a dynamic fellow, especially in the promoting the digitals and the cyber things. And if you'll see his resume, and he's doing a brilliant, he has a brilliant academic career and doing a lot of things, especially his involvement with many of the government projects in Ministry of Culture and many others. Mr. Paul, you please share your ideas, please.
Thank you very much for giving this platform. I'm sorry I couldn't join right from the beginning, but
Yes.
in between when I joined, I had the opportunity to learn all the dignitaries, all the learned members, and their conversation. My only small submission with respect to the digitization and the virtual aspect of the museums. Just for the kind information, all the participants. During Corona and just immediately after the post-Corona session, when everybody was locked in the room, NGMA took an initiative to bring out their entire collection, especially of the 9 treasures which we are housing basically in NGMA, 9 treasures basically. And we have come out with an idea of parikraman. Parikraman means it's walking on the timeline basically. So we had presented almost entire collection of the 9 masters on the virtual platform. And if you allow me, or I can share you the website address. The Parikraman is the section. You will be finding their the collections, and the collection has been presented in a categorical manner. So like for an artist, we have some portrait, we have some sketches, we have some sculptures, we have some some thematic format. So in a sense, and the significant part when we found immediately after launching this project digitally and the virtual format, the footfall increased dramatically. Like in a Corona session, footfall means for me, it is not a physical footfall. I would consider the virtual footfall. I mean the viewers on the website. It suddenly jumped up from 700, 750 to 2100, 2500, and I mean the spike was between 1800 to 2600 every day. So it was an amazing fact for all of us to understand that people are trying to connect themselves as long as the museum, and they feel that they are not able to come out to museum, but actually museum is reaching to their home. So that was the breeze that we had tried to develop, and people have accepted somehow.
Mr. Paul, thank you so much for your innovative ideas. And I am witness when this I was connected with the Ministry of Culture. We had the nodal officers team, and I was also one of them. And
Yes,
we had a wonderful team, especially connecting 50 institutions under Ministry of Culture. And I have seen under the dynamic leadership of the former Director General, that is Adit Gadnaik ji.
Right, sir.
And especially the NGMA under the dynamic leadership of Adit Gadnaik ji and Ministry of Culture. They showcase the national treasures, especially the Azadi Ki Amrit Mahotsav. The all sides of the Kartavya Path was vibrating through the contribution of the immortal heroes, those who brought freedom to this land. Yes. And especially when we talk about the digitizations, especially not only in the COVID times, but also, as I mentioned, that digitization has its positive significances, especially in the digital world. And like the Ministry of Culture's initiative, creating the digital repository of the artifacts of the collections. And I hope the ministry is doing a lot of things, and especially the national institutions like National Gallery of Modern Arts, National Museum, and especially the National Virtual Library of India, NVLI, the National Mission for Cultural Mapping, many projects, in a bigger way it's going on. So thank you, Mr. Paul, for presenting your ideas. We have one important comment that is by SS. I do not know what is the exact name, but digital is possible, but valuable items have practical difficulty while transportation. This is one of the most challenging factors. Like if we have an exhibition in New York, and the New York government authorities have requested the Indian government to have some collections from the National Museum or from the National Museum of Modern History, and this is not possible. It is possible, but sometimes it is practically difficult. I think what is his name? The complete name SS. This is one of the unique challenges which you have mentioned. Do you want to speak something more on this topic? Okay, so this is only possible through the agreements, like the cultural agreements between government to government, through the bilateral agreements. When we talk about the cultural things, the government of India, in collaboration with other government of the federal agencies, the main thing is possible only through the government, and it is difficult for such kind of intercultural, like transportation of the objects. And hope any other views or questions? Or may I request Gayatri ji if you want to say something or to add something here?
I'm very glad to
Please.
know all the suggestions and initiatives from so much dignitaries. And yes, we are collaborative way from the government approach and from other organizations, stakeholders, students, everyone in the collaborative approach. If we are working towards achieving this a particular goal, so yes, we can contribute and develop our museums in a condition what they are now to a better way. And yes, we can also make us aware and make us more knowledgeable about all the heritage, natural, and many different segments in particularly by visiting and knowing more about the museums. Thank you all.
Fidosi has also given a suggestion that the the Ministry of Tourism can also plan guest lecture series in collaboration with the colleges, and together they can collaborate to organize seminars and conferences. I hope the ministry is doing a lot of activities. Recently, they have started the tourism webinars. Gayatri ji, you may please add something to this related.
Yes, we are conducting webinars, particularly on sustainable tourism, responsible tourism in monthly basis. And we will also take up once. Yes. We are also looking forward, and we wanted to know what are the requirements and the demands in particularly from different segments, different participants, so that we can curate. And we wanted to promote our museums, we wanted to promote our heritage sites, we wanted to take care and preserve it. So we are taking all the efforts to make it in sessional, weekly basis, monthly basis, how we can communicate through webinars, or in physically also we are taking, as I mentioned earlier, to the Tourism members, and we wanted to participate the locals of city and tourists also, how they can facilitate more from this museums and heritage sites. So we are taking initiatives, and with collaboration with the different organizations, like I said, Aurobindo Society, we are working closely with Tripathy sir and Charu ma'am, who are pioneer in doing the research work in Puducherry on many artifacts, and they have also suggested many proposals. So we are looking forward and evaluating and making things happen, and we also need your suggestions and your participations in forthcoming times, not only in the webinars, yes, but also in the physical way, how you can also join us and take the initiatives and work together.
Thank you, Firdausi. Thank you, Gayatri ji, for presenting the vision and the mission and plans of the Ministry of Tourism and the initiatives undertaken by. And we will be definitely, it is a matter of great pleasure to collaborate with the Ministry of Tourism and to have many programs under important aspects. And Firdausi is also saying that our students at Johin, they also design museum brochures and blogs that helps us. So we will be glad that if some of the students from your college can participate in some of our research-based projects or program activities, we will be glad to talk to you. Kindly share your contact details. We will be keep in touch and do things. So I think it's now the time to say goodbye to all of you, or any other ideas if anyone wants to say.
Oh,
So,
thank you very much. Thank you very much.
thank you so much. So, sir, you want to say something, Sinha
No,
sir?
just thanks. I want to say thanks a lot to you and to everybody who is associated with your program. This is a wonderful program. And what you have talked about, I can guess you are going to make some changes in future about our perspective of museums and heritage and everything else.
So just thank you so much for your encouraging words. And I just want to conclude with a few lines that every beginning has its end, but this is endless actually.
Yeah.
With 158 countries and approximately 40,000 of museums around the world, somewhere the discussion is going on, somewhere some cultural programs are going on, somewhere some tour guides are guided tours are there, somewhere the students are visiting to the museums. So it's a festive celebration actually. We do not know how many crores of people around the world are celebrating this today's event. And especially when we organize some programs on the special occasions. So it's a festive celebration for us. And I just want to tell that with my long association with the Ministry of Culture, we had a lot of programs, especially in the cultural exchange programs, cultural heritage conservations, and the promotion of culture through research publication and the dissemination activities. I believe in four things. When we talk about the programs, before that, three things come. The first is the institutional networking. Second one is to create some good projects. Third one is to connect with the people like experts like you. We have listened from you today. And fourth come the programs. Like in the Indian tradition, the tradition says the Shastra and Prayog. Shastra is the theoretical knowledge and Prayog is the practical thing. Like H2O is a theoretical thing, hydrogen 2 and oxygen 1, when you mix it in the laboratory and create the water, that is a practical thing. And when we talk about culture, it has flourished through the tangible and intangible cultural heritage. So it was a great time for me when I worked with under the sister organizations of the Ministry of Culture, especially in 2016, when yoga was nominated to UNESCO as the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. I was one of the subgroup advisory board members and I was the youngest members. So I worked with a team of 7 seniors, and it was a great opportunity for me to learn. And I believe that in a practical thing, and especially taking the suggestions and guidance from Professor Ramavatar Sarmaji, Professor Jain Sarmaji, and my young colleagues like Dr. Anil Aniketji, Gayatri Pandaji, Kirtiji, and my spouse is Charu Tripathy. She is also from the museology field, but she's traveling. So unfortunately, she was not able to participate in today's forum. And what I just want to conclude in one thing, when we talk about Puducherry, because we have taken Puducherry as our case study, and whatever we are doing, we're trying to implement here. Especially in Puducherry, there is the Puducherry State Museum, one of the best museums in terms of the collections, because Puducherry is really a historical place. Like the Romans, the British, the French, many people came here. We have Arika Medu, we have many things. If you visit to Puducherry Museum, you find that soils, I think more than 50 countries soils you can see there. So, but there is a great need for the redesign and development in terms of display, digital presence. And when I came to for the first time in Puducherry, I thought the ministry has a special scheme. Why this government is not using this? So I came to know that so INTAC, this Indian National Trust for Art, Culture and Heritage, they have already started the process. And we have also signed an MOU with INTAC, and we are hoping after getting the funds, we can collaborate with this Department of Art and Culture, Ministry of Tourism, Department of Tourism and INTAC and many stakeholders. And also we are trying to rebuild some new museums, even if small in number. And we are trying to help the museum professionals And very soon we will start one of our capacity building programs, especially for the museums and library and archive professionals. We have completed our groundwork, especially studying the whatever museums are in Puducherry, what are the problems and how to address the gap actually. If we have a problem, we have a solution also. So if the problem is not there, there is no solution. I'm very much thankful to Professor Ramavata Sarmaji. In the beginning, he created the research problem. And many things come out with the excellent speech of Professor Jain Sinhaji, Gayatri Pandaji, Dr. Anil Anikechi. So this was really a wonderful and festive celebration for us. And we are very open for joint collaboration, especially people to people, institution to institution networking. We also establish official relationship with the institutions in the form of MOUs. We'll be very happy to sign a MOU with the Rajasthan University and Indira Gandhi National Tribal University. These are the new avenues have come up with us. And also we request Professor Jain Sinhaji, Ramavatar Sharmaji, and today's speaker Gayatri Panda and Anil Aniketji. This is not the end, because this is the beginning actually. We have a lot of things to do, whatever little way. It's just not like that a museum of spread in many acres, thousands and lakhs of objects. What I mentioned in the beginning, the mother mentioned that when she was at the Paris Government Museum, the mummies was speaking to her, because mother has established the Auroville, the city of the future, where people from around the world, they can stay there. And you will be astonished, in Puducherry, in such a small land, many excavations were done. And in Puducherry, this Auroville area, they have started Museum of Excavations. They have established these museums. So we are trying to reach out to the institutions and individual experts, and we're trying to connect with them to do just for some the good cause. And our approach is not Pondicherry specific only. We are also open to both the national and international level things. And I hope when we talk about the collections, only the federal to government, these things are possible. But when we talk about the educational things, promotions, the awareness, especially in the sustainability things, I hope such kind of forums, debates, discussions are really useful. And when we organize some programs, we invite 4 to 5 speakers to address different issues. Like when we talk about the artificial intelligence of the computer world, there are the software expert and a hardware expert, there is a graphic, there is a coding experts, many experts are there. So when we talk about the museum sectors, academicians like Professor Jain Sinhaji, Dr. Ramavatar Sinhaji, bureaucrats like Gayatri Pandaji, researchers like Anil Anikechi, and many other sectors like the digitization and other things. And I just want to add something here, that we have a program started, that is the International Cultural Relations, that is creativity beyond the boundaries. We're trying to connect India's rich and diverse cultural traditions along with a cross-cultural similarities with other countries. And we are also having many programs, especially recently we did one program with the India and US relations. We had a program on the Central Asian things. And I hope this museum sectors, especially through the International Cultural Relations project, we can have some joint programs on this. And I request all of you to kindly be in touch with us, and we will also be keep in touch with all of you. And in a collaborative way, we can add to a little to this great yagya, I think so. So it was really a wonderful evening, and I am very much thankful to Professor Jain Sinhaji, Ramavatar Sarmaji, Anil Anikechi, Gayatri Pandaji, and we missed Kirtiji's speech, and we will definitely record her speech and edit the video and share with all of you. And this was really a good festive celebration for all of us. So I hope it's now time to say goodbye for the time being, and we will meet again for such forums. And thanks for joining us, and namaste to all of you.
Thanks to all of you.